was actually the time I did that the first time that you just saw. I went back there and went, what have I done? What came over me? Who am I?
What powerful emotions stirred within her? Who truly was the woman who mesmerized audiences for generations? Sally Field's life has been nothing short of remarkable. A journey filled with unforgettable roles, heartfelt performances, and moments that etched themselves into cinematic history. Now, at 78, she finds herself at a stage in life where recognition no longer defines her. With 2 Oscars to her name and a career lined with iconic portrayals, Sally Field has long since earned her place in Hollywood's pantheon. There's nothing left for her to prove. But beyond the standing ovations and the beloved characters she brought to life lies a more private truth, one the world has seldom seen. As the years have brought reflection and clarity, Sally is finally ready to share a long-guarded truth. The names of 6 actors she genuinely could not stand. These weren't fleeting disagreements or minor creative differences. They were raw, personal conflicts, some erupting on set, while others unfolded silently behind closed doors. Each of these painful encounters, some subtle, others explosive, left an indelible mark on her. They influenced her choices, challenged her resilience, and in some cases, cast long shadows that followed her well beyond the final cut. You may think you know the truth about life in Hollywood, but Sally Field's revelations might just change everything. Now, before we get into the names, it's important to understand the context. Hollywood is a complex web of relationships, egos, and power dynamics. What appears on the surface is often very different from the reality behind the camera. And Sally Field, like many actresses, navigated a landscape where she often had to fight for her voice and her space. Let's start with Bert Reynolds. Their passionate romance dominated the tabloids in the late 1970s. They seemed like the ultimate power couple, embodying cinematic perfection. Smokey and the Bandit was a colossal cultural phenomenon, and much of its success was attributed to their undeniable chemistry. However, behind the carefully constructed image, a different reality existed. Sally Field has described Bert Reynolds as a controlling man who thrived on dominance. She felt he instinctively dismissed anyone who posed the slightest threat to his carefully constructed spotlight, even if that person was herself. His behavior was often demeaning, relentlessly belittling her, mocking her physical appearance, questioning her intelligence, and subtly undermining her acting abilities. These weren't overt attacks, but insidious cutting remarks. In interviews, he'd offer backhanded compliments, only to retreat into frigid silences at home. In her memoir, In Pieces, Sally meticulously peeled back the Hollywood veneer, revealing a stark and painful reality. She recounted how Bert would restrict her freedom to speak candidly, often interrupting her mid-sentence. He asserted control by overriding her decisions, both professionally and personally. She poignantly articulated feeling like a mere prized possession, something to be ostentatiously displayed rather than cherished for her inherent worth. He manipulated her emotions, alternating between charm and inexplicable withdrawal of affection. Sally confessed, "I never felt truly seen. I was there, but not me. Not the full me." Despite the years they shared, she was never truly certain about the authentic identity of the real Bert Reynolds. She acknowledged, "I wanted to love him. I did love him, but he hurt me." Sally Field arrived on the set of Back Roads, brimming with optimistic hopes and fervent anticipation. She approached the project, ready for true collaboration, eager to co-create something truly meaningful. Instead of the hoped-for connection and creative synergy, however, she was met with an impenetrable wall of silence, and that formidable barrier bore the name of Tommy Lee Jones. From the very first day of production, Sally depicted him as profoundly dismissive, not only in a professional capacity, but also on a deeply personal level. He rarely acknowledged her presence during rehearsals, offered no casual small talk, and steadfastly refused to engage in the customary actorly back and forth. Jones would simply arrive on set precisely, hit his marks flawlessly, deliver his lines, and then promptly depart. There was an absolute absence of warmth, not even a trace of respect, only palpable, unyielding ice permeated his interactions. For an actress like Sally, who built her career on emotional authenticity and open-hearted performances, Jones's behavior was utterly disorienting and deeply unsettling. She wasn't merely performing opposite a character who was emotionally cold. She was, in essence, performing opposite a genuinely cold human being. She would consistently attempt to initiate conversation during breaks, pose questions about their characters, even try to crack lighthearted jokes. Yet Jones remained unresponsive, refusing to engage. Sometimes he wouldn't even look at her. She lamented that his treatment conveyed an explicit message, as though she had no rightful place on set alongside him, as if she was somehow beneath his perceived stature. When Back Roads was eventually released, critics harshly panned it, frequently citing a conspicuous lack of chemistry between the two lead actors. Sally once profoundly articulated her experience, stating, "We were supposed to play two broken people learning to love, but I was playing alone." Following her experience on Back Roads, she resolutely chose never to collaborate with Tommy Lee Jones again. When questioned about the experience in subsequent years, she refrained from any overt lashing out. However, the subtle yet unmistakable frost embedded within her words conveyed more than enough. She carried with her an indelible memory of how truly cold a film set could become. During the demanding period of filming Say Goodbye, Maggie Cole, Sally Field found herself directly confronting one of the most volatile personalities she had ever encountered, Robert Blake. Known for his intense method acting and erratic mood swings, Blake introduced unpredictability into every corner of the film set. He impulsively altered lines without warning, veered off script, and even deliberately sabotaged takes with disruptive behavior. Sally accused him of deliberately undermining her at every turn, not merely in front of the camera, but also in covert off-camera moments. Numerous crew members reported frequent explosive outbursts, searing verbal tirades, and abrupt mood shifts, fostering a hostile environment. One day, he might exhibit quiet focus, only to erupt the next, shouting at a lighting technician or storming off set over a minor disagreement. Sally found herself perpetually attempting to play the role of peacemaker. The pervasive tension bled into every scene, and the film was ultimately shelved, never making it to air. Sally later characterized the experience as unequivocally traumatic. "There are actors who act," she observed, "and there are actors who try to make everyone else small so they feel big." Blake was the second kind. She walked away from Say Goodbye, Maggie Cole with an unshakable vow. Never again would she tolerate chaos disguised as genius. Now we have the most unexpected feud of the list, Shirley MacLaine. The world perceived them as an idyllic, harmonious duo in Steel Magnolias. Yet behind the scenes, the dynamic was anything but heartwarming. Sally approached the film with emotional sensitivity. Colleagues whispered accounts of MacLaine treating every scene as a calculated power play, boasting about her past Oscar wins, dismissing directorial guidance, and brazenly injecting herself into moments not intended for her. Sally strove to maintain a facade of graciousness, but in her private moments, she was exhausted. There was one particularly emotional scene that necessitated 17 takes. This was because MacLaine refused to play it authentically, adding sarcastic quips and transforming raw grief into inappropriate comedic fodder. It was as if undercutting Sally's deeply emotional performance was part of the script itself. Sally remarked that Shirley brought a cloud of chaos wherever she went. She had an insatiable need to dominate. Sally, in contrast, simply desired to serve the story. The damage inflicted by this rivalry lingered long after filming. And now let's talk about one of the most unexpected revelations of the list. James Woods brought an insidious energy, transforming playful scenes into psychological warfare. He dissected lines, challenged the director's vision, and rewrote dialogue on the spot. Sally found herself completely steamrolled by his assertive presence. She characterized Woods as intellectually intimidating. She recounted that Woods would casually and insidiously suggest that she wasn't giving enough of herself. He had the audacity to accuse her of phoning it in. To Sally, this felt like sabotage. She stated, "It wasn't the role that wore me down. It was having to constantly defend my worth." Now we have the most surprising revelation of all, Dustin Hoffman. Their paths nearly intersected during auditions for a forgotten project. Hoffman dominated the room, even before Sally had a chance to enter. He engaged in a flurry of jokes, made pointed remarks about the script, and repeatedly interrupted her reading. His purpose was to overtly correct her delivery, disparagingly comment on her artistic choices, and aggressively question her interpretation, all in front of everyone present. Sally felt like she was auditioning for a man who'd already decided she wasn't enough. She described feeling like a mere schoolgirl. Later she learned that Hoffman had bragged about deliberately sabotaging the audition. He asserted that the crucial chemistry was simply not present. To Sally, this was not merely unprofessional, but cruel and malicious. She questioned herself for weeks. With the wisdom of distance, an undeniable clarity emerged. The problem was Hoffman's insatiable need to control the room, even if it meant ruthlessly stepping on someone else's voice. So, there you have it. The 6 actors who, for various reasons, made life difficult for Sally Field. It is essential to remember that these are just one person's experiences and interpretations. However, Sally Field's willingness to reveal these painful encounters is more than just a confession. It's a reminder that even the brightest stars face darkness behind the scenes, and that, in sharing her truth, she offers a beacon of hope and strength for others who have faced similar challenges. What do you think about these revelations? Were you surprised by any of the names? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Past Famous for more untold Hollywood stories. Thanks for watching.